Floss Tube. I'm Stephanie, the Ivy House Crafter, and this is my channel, Ivy House Crafter. I talk about cross stitching and sometimes other crafts that I enjoy. Let's see, it's been at least 3 weeks, I think, since my last video. And I have a whole stack of things that I've worked on since then, including a finish and a couple new starts. So let's just dive right in. Let's see, the day that I filmed my last floss tube video, so after I filmed and uploaded, I pulled out the works of Jane Austen Sal, and this is the this is the border. All the parts are already released. I just haven't got my act together enough to print out the completed what it's going to look like. But anyway, I am stitching this on 28 count Water Lily Jobelin. So last time I showed this, I had finished the Sense and Sensibility block, and so the one day that I worked on it since then, I put in the border outlines for the next 2 blocks, and those are going to be, let's see, Pride and Prejudice, and I'm a Jane Austen nerd. I really should know which one comes after Pride and Prejudice, but it doesn't matter at this point. I'll work on it when I get to it. Anyway, so minimal progress, but I'm pleased with it nonetheless. It's fun to see other people's finishes of this and kind of plan ahead to what small adjustments or large changes I'm going to be making along the way. Because almost everybody who's made this, you know, there are some who have stitched it exactly as is, but a lot of people have made little alterations here and there just to personalize it or to make it a little more to their liking, and I think that's kind of fun. So I'll be doing that too. But yeah, love Jane Austen, and I love this pattern. So that is Works of Jane Austen Sal. Let's see, I spent several days on this next one. What I did not do is get the, okay, there they are. I was going to say I didn't get the preview pages out and ready, but they were really easy to find. This is my Saxon band sampler set. And I'm stitching them side by side, this one in green and this one in red, and it's just this giant piece of white 25 count Monaco, I think. Really big piece of fabric. Okay. So what I did since the last time I showed this is I finished this band that I had not done yet, or I hadn't finished yet, and then I put in the entire small narrow band that is below it. And this is all being stitched with DMC. The main color of this is DMC 3777, I want to say, and then any variegated are DMC variegated. When I was stitching this one, I was thinking that this color, it's I don't remember the number, but it's one of the DMC variegateds, and it's kind of like reds and oranges, and I was just thinking that would make really awesome like autumn leaf floss, something to use for an autumn pattern. So I'll keep that in mind at some point. Anyway, so after that, I moved over to this one. So this one is Ye Olde Band Sampler, and this one is Saxon Transylvania Band Sampler. So I moved on to this one and started this band, and these are some foxes, and it's the Tree of Life or something, and then there's like an urn with some other plants in here. And so I did the first fox peeking out from the border and his friend over here. So that is what I have so far. Even though I'm nowhere close to being done with this one, I'm definitely bringing it with me when I go to the Stitch West retreat, which is coming up in like a week. I'm really excited. Anyway, I'm bringing this for the brag table just because this is pretty much my most impressive piece. Even though, like I said, it's nowhere near being done. It's going to be 2 feet long. So yeah, I'm just barely scratching the tippy top of these. So if you look at this one, this is the one on this side. I've only got this much done. Still have all of that to do. And then this one, I've got this part and right here. And all of that I still have left to do. So yeah, this is a piece that I will be working on for a very long time. That's okay. It's enjoyable to stitch on it. Flop this all over the place. I have to fold things and put them away right away, or I will have a mess and not ever end up putting it away. As it is, these project bags are probably going to sit around not being put away for longer than I care to admit. Okay, the next piece I worked on, I worked on it for 2 days, and the second day that I worked on it, it was craft night. We have a monthly craft night that I go to, and I brought 2 projects because I knew that this one was very close to a finish, and I was going to finish it that night, so I brought it, and I did finish it, and oh, I should have ironed it. It's got some pretty big creases, but that's okay. I finished Forever and Ever by Cottage Garden Samplings, and this is number 1 of the Songbirds Garden series. So what I had left to do was the vines and leaves down here, and this flower and heart. So I took care of that during craft night and finished it up. And I am just really pleased with how it turned out. This was stitched on 36 count Tyco Edinburgh linen using the DMC conversion provided on the pattern. And I'll just be using the DMC conversion for the entire series for the sake of being consistent. And when I'm done with all of them, which won't be for quite a while, but when I'm done with all of them, I would like to turn it into a small quilt, like a wall hanging type quilt, and each of these will be its own square with like sashing in between and a border and stuff. So that'll be fun. Anyway, having finished the first in this series, I decided I would have to go ahead and start the second. So I have started Merry and Bright, again Cottage Garden Samplings, and it is the second in the series. At this point I'm planning on just stitching them in the order that they were released. I might change my mind later, but for now that's what I'm doing. And I have the sleigh and these fun little, I don't know what you would call them, green snowflakes is what I've been calling them, and the word Merry. And this is being stitched on 36 count Wren Edinburgh linen. I think it's Edinburgh. I mean, that's the count that it is. Yeah. So that's just the way that Picture This Plus labels their linens based on what the fabric count is. So 36 count is Edinburgh. So this is Picture This Plus. And I just love the way that this is looking. I love the way that the colors are playing on the fabric. And I'm really excited to get working on the holly and the bird and just let this one start taking off. Okay, speaking of birds, where is it? Should put a bookmark in here. This is a book, Ultimate Cross Stitch Projects, and these are designs by Maria Diaz, and I am doing these for Chirpy visitors. So I already completed that one, and I am now working on this one. So let me get that out. So this is my other new start for this week. And this is what I've got so far. I have the bird and I think all of this light brown here, I don't remember. But and then I have all of the pink blossoms, and so I think all that I have left is the leaves and then the back stitching, and this one will be done. And here's the one that I completed before, so I'll be stitching all four on this fabric and then turning them into pillows that I'll just like display together. Probably pillows. Anyway, this is 28 count Carolina linen, and the color is, what is the color? Sand, I think. This was Charles Craft. It came in the roll at Joann's, I believe. Anyway, so these are patterns where the back stitching makes like all the difference, where you start out with just blobs of color here and there, and then you put the back stitching in and the painting comes to life, kind of thing. So that has been fun to work on. Next I have Tired Trio by Plum Street Samplers, and I talked about this on my Instagram, which is at Ivy House Crafter, where so twice a year our church does this big general conference, and if I don't have something that I'm working on during the sessions, especially the afternoon session, I tend to fall asleep, and I'd rather pay attention and listen and be, you know, edified and inspired by being awake. So it helps me to have a craft to work on. So Tired Trio is what I worked on during the Saturday morning and afternoon sessions of conference, and here's what I have so far on that. I put in all the green and these flowers, and I'm trying to, I think, yeah, I don't think that the top sloth was stitched the last time I showed this, so I put in the top sloth. I haven't done his face yet, obviously, but yeah, this is turning out really cute. This is a 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself using natural dyes, onion skin and blueberries and cinnamon and turmeric all mixed together, and so it's kind of a purple and green and brown splotchy mottled thing, but really light colored. Anyway, so Tired Trio, Plum Street Samplers. Just a little bit more on that one and it will be done. There's a whole bunch of these little flowers, and I have the green on all of them. I just need to go in and put in the little pink center and the dark pink around the outside, and they will be done. And then there's the top sloth's face, and there's a little bee that goes right in here, and then this will be done. So, oh no, and then I also have to fill in the inside of these flowers, and then it'll be done. So still a ways to go, but coming pretty close on that one. Okay, one more project that I worked on. This one is, so this is what I worked on during the Sunday morning and afternoon sessions of conference. And this is Deer and Squirrel. And I put in this band right there and the small alphabet. Oh, it's so much easier to show it on the paper than trying to hold up the the fabric and show the stitching on the fabric that I did. Because then I'm all like, okay, hold it up, and I did this part right here. But anyway, really cute, and this is being stitched on 40 count cream linen. I think this is also Picture This Plus. I don't remember. I don't have the label for it, but yeah. It took me so long to do this big alphabet because each square is 4 individual stitches. And then this, it took a total of like 2 hours, I think, of stitching to get the bottom alphabet done, because each square is only 1 little stitch, so it was a lot faster. And that is Deer and Squirrel. Now the Saxon band samplers and Deer and Squirrel are all patterns that I designed, and they are for sale in my Etsy shop, which is ivyhousecrafter.etsy.com, for anyone who's interested in stitching those. I have a couple purchases that I made, and I'm really excited about them. Last Monday, I think it was, we took a field trip to the Pioneer Memorial Museum here in Salt Lake, and so many wonderful just things to look at. I love history, I love museums, and these are items from the mid-1800s when members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, sometimes called Mormons, traveled to Utah, and just things that they brought with them, or things that were made here in the Salt Lake Valley when they were first settling the area. There was a lot, or there were several cross-stitch samplers and needlepoint things and embroidery and lots of like needlework that I got to look at, and it was a lot of fun to see. There was this whole section of floor that was covered with treadle sewing machines, and I was just like, oh boy, it was really neat. Anyway, when we went out to the gift shop, when we were finished wandering around, we actually only, there's 4 floors, and we only covered the first 2, or the ground floor and the basement, and then there's another building out behind that with 2 floors. So we did ground floor, basement, and the 2 back floors. But there's 2 more floors that we didn't even get to, and we spent a long time there. There was just so much to see. But anyway, so when we were done, and we went out into the gift shop, there was a book, and I saw it, and I knew that I had to have it, and it is Pioneer Memorial Museum samplers. And there's no patterns, but it's pictures of samplers that these pioneers brought with them as they traveled the plains, or they brought with them when they traveled by boat to America. And they had limited space in which they could bring things. You know, they were in wagons, they were in hand carts. There was very little space for bringing their personal belongings, but they would, you know, take down their framed samplers and pull them off of the boards they had nailed them to, roll them up or fold them up and tuck them in with their things so that they could bring these samplers with them and have these, you know, patterns to use when they were in their new home. So that's really neat. So yeah, it has pictures of samplers, and then if they have information about the person who made it, then they have the picture and a brief history of the woman who stitched it, and information about the sampler itself, how many threads per inch, what fabric and floss they used, what it what it says, what stitches were used, full cross, or what specialty stitches. For some of them, it shows the front of the sampler and also the back of the sampler, and you can see how messy some of them were. Some of them are very tidy, but some of them were really messy. And some of them were really, really worn through, and it's hard to even see what they say. But anyway, I have read through it and just love it because it's so much fun. One of the reasons that we love stitching samplers and these historic patterns is because they connect us to women who stitched and were learning needlework and sewing skills and things years ago. And so, I love having that connection to those women who lived that long ago. Anyway, so that was one of my purchases, and I might do a flip through if anyone's interested in me doing like an actual flip through where I go through the book and kind of show some of these beautiful things. Let me know. Anyway, so the last thing I have to show is one more purchase that I made, and this is a dimensions kit. Somebody on the Stitch Mania Facebook page showed their finished piece of this pattern, and I love vintage, and I love sewing, and I love sewing patterns, and so I was like, well, I have to get that now. So it is a dimensions kit designed by Simplicity, and it's called Simplicity Vintage. And this is an actual pattern that that was from 1955, I believe. This picture differs slightly from the pattern. I of course looked it up. I wanted to know everything about it. In the original pattern, this picture, the dress that this woman was wearing was also dark blue. I guess they changed it to add a little more visual interest for the cross-stitch pattern. And the detail along the top of the red dress was a lot more intricate, and I think they changed that just to make it a little simpler to stitch. But other than that, it's just the way it is in the actual pattern, and I'm excited to at some point start stitching this. Anyway, okay, I think that catches me up on everything since my last video. Brief life update. We are still going strong with homeschooling and having a good time. Yesterday we took the day off because our main curriculum is 4 days a week, and so we have a fun day every week, and that was yesterday. And we went to an aviary, the Tracy Aviary here in Salt Lake, and that was a lot of fun. And yesterday was my and my husband's wedding anniversary, so we went out for dinner afterward, and that was a lot of fun. Anyway, that's about it. I'm going to wrap this up and get it uploaded, and then I can have a clean slate for, so that there's a lot less to remember for my next video. Okay? Have a great week, day, month, whatever, and do lots of stitching, and I'm so excited for the Stitch West retreat next weekend. Anyway, happy stitching, everybody.